Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our panel, Mail's Place in an Ever-Changing World. My name is Amanda Armendariz. I am the editor of Mailing Systems Technology Media. We are a free trade publication covering everything related to the print and mail industry. So everything from direct mail best practices to changing postal service regulations. So I highly encourage you, if you are not already a subscriber, to come see me afterwards for your free subscription. So before we jump in, I would like my panelists to introduce themselves, and I'll start with you, Herman.
I don't know if you guys hear me or hello? Can you hear me better this way? Okay. So my name is Herman Sacristan. It's spelled German. I'm not from Germany, but I'm from Spain, from Madrid, and the G is a G in Spanish, so it's like clearing your throat a little bit. I live in North Carolina, as you can tell by my accent. What else? I've been in the printing industry for about 30-something years, working a lot with print service providers and their customers, the brands and the agencies. Right now, for the last 6 years, I work for Keypoint Intelligence. We do market research and consultancy worldwide. We are a global company for the printing industry. So that's me.
Thanks. I'm Paul Bobnak. I have been in the direct mail business for about 25 years and a little bit in the publishing business before then. I write for Printing Impressions, the magazine, as well as the website with a bi-weekly blog. I am also the direct mail evangelist for Who's Mailing What, which is a direct mail 2.0 company, and where I host a podcast series called Meet the Mailers, which is on our YouTube channel, as well as on the Who's Mailing What website. And I also write for a variety of manufacturers, marketers, and printers.
And I'm Morgan DiGiorgio. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Direct Mail 2.0, Who's Mailing What, and DM20.ai. And our sole purpose is to make direct mail the most effective form of marketing. I've been in marketing for approximately 20 years and in the print industry for a little under a decade. And we have a conglomerate of organizations that work together collectively to improve the direct mail marketing channel. We work with print providers all over the United States, and we provide competitive intelligence solutions for marketers or companies that utilize direct mail as a marketing channel. I'm happy to be a part of this panel, and thank you everybody for joining us this morning.
All right. Before we jump into the questions, just a show of hands. How many of you are print service providers? Okay. Decent amount. All right. And how many of you are here just to learn more about mail and direct mail and effective communication with your customers? Okay. Awesome. All right, so everyone who does not live under a rock knows that mail volumes have been declining, right? That's like the doom and gloom headlines that you always hear. Mail volumes down, postal service losing money, et cetera, et cetera. And all that is true, but mail still remains a very effective communication channel that marketers absolutely need to incorporate into their mix. So let's start out by discussing the factors that have influenced mail decline over the years, but why mail should also still be a viable strategy. Anyone can.
All right, I'll take this one. So there's been a ton of different factors that have affected the direct mail marketing channel. Our focus with Direct Mail 2.0 is we layer on digital or integrate omni-channel marketing into direct mail to make it more effective. And I can say that at one point in time, there was a proverbial tug of war between marketers. Where should we be injecting our budget? Should that be in digital? Should it be in print? And we've come a long way from that. And the truth of the matter is that if you're only utilizing one channel or you're using digital without direct mail or direct mail without digital, you are missing the boat. You are not getting the highest maximum ROAS on your marketing investment that you possibly can. The truth of the matter is that they work together in tandem to drive results, right? So I know that there's so many other factors that have affected the direct mail marketing channel. And we really started getting hammered in this industry with COVID, right? So costs have been rising since COVID because of supply chain issues and nonstop postage increases. Now we've got the tariffs. But guess what? The cost of digital has been rising as well. So marketers can say that direct mail is more expensive, but so is digital. And the vying for the eyeballs in the digital marketing space is very, very challenging. And there's a lot of open real estate right in the mailbox, right? So the thing is that there's a lot of print providers in this room. And so I would encourage you to ask yourselves, what are you doing or what are we doing collectively as an industry to be educating marketers on the importance of direct mail and the place and role that it has in the marketing mix? And how can we, from a consultative perspective, be educating marketers on how they can best position mail in their marketing mix. Yes, it's more expensive, but if you take it out of your marketing mix, do you think that you're going to continue to have the same amount of leads being driven into your organization as you did when you were utilizing mail? Absolutely not. So the key is, how do we do mail more effectively and more cost effectively? And that starts with the right list, the right offer, the right call to action. And how do we strategically educate them on how they can get the best maximum return on their direct mail? And I really think that that starts with us as print providers and marketers who should be educating our customers.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. And I'd add to that a little bit of my perspective, which is talking to people again who know that I've been in this business for 25 years, and they ask, well, you must have seen a lot of change over that period of time. And yeah, I have. It used to be that, and part of my previous daily job was to look at mail as it would come into my office and be deposited across my desk in big FedEx and USPS boxes, and go through the mail almost every single day, and looking at mail that was sent in by people around the country to who's mailing what in its original incarnation. And we would see multiple copies of the same piece of mail or multiple copies of catalogs going to the same person, but with all kinds of variations on their name or their address, or there were a lot of tests that were being run, whether it was covers or a number of inserts included in a direct mail acquisition package. And it was wasteful. It was frankly very wasteful of printing and postage, but printing and postage weren't a big concern for a lot of marketers at the time, up until really about 10 to 15 years ago. And that's coincided, of course, with the rise of the internet, which really did a number on first-class mail especially, but to an extent marketing mail as well. So I view it as kind of like right-sizing, because what it did is the increasing costs for both postage and consumables and other materials, what it really did is it forced a lot of marketers to really take a serious look at the efficiency of their organization, or who they had as a provider for their direct mail services. And to begin looking at that and saying, okay, what do we need to do? We need data hygiene, hugely important and so often ignored. And I can say it's still ignored by some marketers that I see. So it's like a very disappointing thing to still see that as a serious issue, but also thinking about and something else we can probably get into a little bit is talking about segmentation and really looking at what are your most profitable segments that you can reach out to in your mail, or what are ways that you can maybe take mail out of your marketing channels in some way and do what Morgan has been talking about, which is subbing in other digital channels where those channels are going to perform higher than just like a basic direct mail piece would have years ago. And like I said, that's right sizing. It's mailing less mail, but you're getting better impact from it because you've cut down on your cost, You really haven't sacrificed that much in your marketing. And in fact, you're doing better with some of your marketing because you have all those additional impressions from all these additional channels that you now have in your mix.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because Morgan mentioned there are examples of digital expenses increasing for marketers. Do you have examples of that?
So I don't, in my brain, have that statistical data, but if you do a quick search, just go online and do a search about the rising cost of digital marketing, and you will see that it's risen exponentially. I mean, I personally, we've experienced it internally because we provide digital services, and we've had to increase our prices 2-3 times over the course of the last 2 years just because the cost of digital has risen. And part of the reason why the cost of digital has risen is because there's so much additional competition out there. So everyone is vying for those exact same eyeballs. So if you're competing with another organization to get that exact same impression in front of that individual person, then you're going to have to pay more, and you can get into somewhat of a little bit of a bidding war there. So that's why I'm saying as mail volumes have continued to decline, there's a lot of open real estate in the mailbox, and we know how profound an impact a tangible direct mail piece works and triggers that high brand recall. And so, to leverage that in conjunction with this whole sea of ads, I mean, people on average are seeing anywhere from 10,000 marketing messages on a daily basis. I know that's really hard to digest, but if you think about it, we're talking about email, digital, logos on T-shirt, billboards. They're inundated with ads in the ad space all over. And then from a digital perspective, the competition is so great and the costs have also risen as well. So just do a quick search. I think you can get a lot of statistical data on that, and that will help leverage and position to your direct mail customers that their digital costs are rising as well and how you can make an impact with mail. Sure. Oh, free. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So for me, the question was why direct mail is strong and relevant, right? Mm-hmm. And forgive me for the simplicity of my answer, but when I think about direct mail in the marketing mix, the mailbox is the least competitive channel that I can think of because we only receive a couple of correspondence every day where we invaded by emails and displays on the internet, very annoying and that type of thing. So the first thing that a marketeer will like to do, the first objective, and I'm not a marketeer, but I know the basics of those objectives, is to capture attention of the consumer, of the recipient, right? And otherwise, I cannot sell you anything. I cannot make you do anything I want you to do. So capturing attention is the first thing. And if you don't capture attention, then you've got no chance. And actually, the mailbox has that opportunity, again, because, less competition, because we always open the mailbox and pick up the correspondence every day, normally after a long day, and then we go in the living room or in the kitchen, in the house, and sometimes with the garbage between our legs like I do, but we start touching and filling every mail and throwing whatever is not relevant to us, but we do it. So for me, that's so powerful. Then the second marketing objective, when I think about it, after you capture the attention, is elevating the perception of value of my brand. So you trust me, right? And when I think of that, mail, print has so many embellishments, and you don't send me just a crappy looking whatever. You have the chance to send me something that looks very professional, very elegant, and then again, it makes me trust your brand, right? So that elevating the perception of value, you can do a special finishing, a special substrates, a special design. So again, I'm not here to say direct mail is better because I like it, but it's nothing to do with liking it. It's a functional, and it links very closely to those objectives of marketing. And then the other objective in a marketing campaign, after you capture attention and elevate the perception of value, is to be relevant. If it's not relevant, I'll throw you in the garbage, like I said before, right? And mail can be personalized, right? And we are not going to get into the details of that because from the idea of personalization to the relevance of that personalized mail, it goes a long way. And I am the first one as a consumer that receives a lot of mail that try to be relevant to me, but they're not. So it's not an easy task. And then the last objectives of marketing is to make it easier for you to buy from me, right? I capture your attention. Now you trust me because I elevate the perception of value. I tell you something that is relevant. Now I need to make it easy for you to buy. And mail is amazing. All this connectivity of QR codes, NFC tagging, augmented reality. I can actually send you very quickly to a website where you can buy my products. So I make it easy for you to buy. I can send you to a video online to learn more about my products, so then you buy. And that type of thing. So for me, I mean, it's just a matter of the marketeers to think this a little bit more carefully, because I think that they know all these things. They're very simple, what I'm talking about, but sometimes they forget and they rush into a campaign. And email, like it was said before, it seems to be cheaper and that type of thing, and they choose the channel before even the strategy. So for me, those are the reasons why email is a strong, relevant, and sustainable. And even though it's declining, but I don't see it dying anytime soon or ever. So that's my answer.
All right, so you kind of mentioned embellishments, so we're going to go into that since this is Printing United. Obviously, there's tons of options. How can these embellishments improve engagement? What should marketers take into account when they're, working on a piece? I'd love your thoughts.
Well, I think that, probably the first thing to do is to find out which companies are using what kinds of embellishments, because if you look through your mailbox, you'll see that there are certain mailers, whether they're a commercial company like a credit card provider, financial services, or very rarely a nonprofit, you'll see what kind of techniques are being used, what kinds of where they can be used in some interesting ways, and it's one of those things where you really have to have like somebody who is in marketing really have kind of like an inspiration where they would say, all right, well, we know what this company's about. We know what can get attention. Where do you start getting attention? You start getting attention on the front of an envelope or the back of an envelope or the inside pieces. But probably the best place would be to start with is the front of the envelope is some sort of finish, like a spot UV or metallic finishing, something like that just looks different and potentially feels different as well. And from there, you can get into a discussion of, well, this kind of a technique, is it something that can be enhanced with another technique that would qualify for USPS promotional incentives? Because that is something that I believe right now would earn about a 4% savings on a campaign that uses that postage. But next year, those are going up. So there's a real opportunity there to save money with those embellishments.
Sure. Yeah, I would have to communicate that you only get a split second to capture somebody's attention, right? So when you're leveraging something like a digital embellishment, you have an opportunity there to really speak about your organization. At one point in time, with the resurgence of the inception of the internet, right? There's a lot to be said for a website being a first impression about your organization. Someone goes to your website, they look at it, they say, I can tell a lot about this company, or are they putting their best foot forward? And I make my own indications about what I think the value of that company is based on that. And the same thing can be said for a direct mail piece, right? So how well well is that direct mail piece communicating the value of your organization when it shows up in the mailbox. It's telling a story, or it's speaking some type of value about your company, whether that's the stock of the paper, or are you utilizing some type of special foil, or we're also engaging sensory elements, right? So is there something that I'm feeling or touching or experiencing that is activating something in my brain that is causing me to want to respond to this direct mail piece, which is something that I don't get an opportunity to experience in the digital ad space when I'm just seeing, 10,000 different marketing messages a day. And like Paul said, we're having an opportunity here now to lift the response rate of mail by leveraging these digital embellishments, but also, since everyone is so sensitive to cost, we get an opportunity to also take advantage of some postal discounts.
And for me, when I think about embellishments, the first thing, obviously, that comes to mind is capturing attention, which is the first objective of a marketing campaign. But to be a strategy with embellishments, will you use the same embellishments to all your target audience? Do you have to profile that, or do you have a profile of that target audience for your content also that is different? And I'm not talking about driving yourselves crazy, but easy profiling based on gender. Will you use the same embellishments for a female than a male? Will you use the same embellishments for somebody that is young, somebody that is older? So the first thing that I will think is there an opportunity to do some profiling with embellishments? Because, whatever embellishment you send to my daughter probably is not going to be the same to me, even though it has to link to the brand. So it might have to be elegant or whatever. So that's the first thing. The second thing when I think about embellishments is that activates the most powerful marketing channel, which is the word of mouth, more than email and everything else, the word of mouth. And I think that we all have experienced this, and I experienced from a consumer standpoint, which for me is the expert, not the marketeer. The consumer tells the marketeer when they right or wrong. And as a consumer, if I receive something that is worth sharing, I do so. And then I do it to people that I know, so I know more than that brand about the people that I'm communicating or sharing this piece of direct mail with. And then I make it even more relevant and personal. And this is what every marketeer does. Activate the word of mouth is very, very powerful. And I think that embellishments does that.
Yeah, one thing that I always tell people, and when I talk about myself, I talk about what I do, and a lot of people don't understand, a lot of it until you really start explaining like what direct mail is and how special it is in a lot of ways and how different it is I just ask them a simple question, and it's like, well, you get a piece of direct mail, right? And you're looking at it, and what is it about it that stands out? And it could be anything. It could be the paper, it could be the finish, it could be the personalization, it could be some embellishments that's used. But the first thing I start off with is like, how does everything you look at that you receive to your eyes, usually your eyes and maybe sometimes your ears as well, what does it look like to you? How do you experience it when it's through your phone? Because that's how, like 90% of everything that's digital, at least, is through that. And everything looks the same on this. There's very little that differs. Everything has to shrink in some way to fit on that screen. But with direct mail, with a printed piece, you have an amazing world of possibilities that still in some way has to comply with USPS regulations. And if you want something that's really different, you will pay a little bit more for your postage. But again, it's an opportunity to reach people using, as Morgan talked about, the different senses, the texture, sense. There's lots of different ways you can activate a prospect or a customer using them. And for me, again, test it. Test by going to a small part of your larger audience. Look at who and I've talked with nonprofit organizations about doing this, about segmenting their database, going to a small group of donors that they know are high-value donors, frequent donors, and looking at ways of activating them to a higher level of giving or a higher membership level by using a direct mail piece with some embellishments on it, or something with lots of personalization, but something that speaks to how they're regarded by the organization or company that mails it out.
All right, Morgan, in your first response, you kind of touched on, the integration of mail and digital. So I'd like to expand upon that a little bit more. What are some best practices for integrating physical mail and digital? How can mail actually contribute to the effectiveness of a digital campaign and that sort of thing?
Well, the first thing is that the customers that are pouring more of their budget into digital, we have to think about something, right? So we're doing the same thing regardless of the channel that we're utilizing. We are driving leads into an organization. And the first place that someone goes, a prospect, when they respond to a marketing message, whether that's direct mail, digital, email, whatever it might be, is to a website, right? When someone goes to a website, you don't get an initial conversion all the time. Someone doesn't just, get that direct mail piece, see that digital ad, go to the website, and boom, they just buy and check out or book the demo, whatever it is. It doesn't happen that way. On average, statistically, you get about a 4% initial conversion from any type of marketing message that makes it to the website. Now you've got about 96% on average of individuals that responded to a direct mail piece or a digital ad and went to a website and they didn't convert. Now what? Now what? Now what do we do? Well, let's say that we're utilizing the direct mail marketing channel and we drive someone to a website. A inexpensive way to re-engage that prospect is to leverage digital marketing. Put a cookie on the website, start showing Google ads to those individuals, pop up in their social feeds. Or, since personalization is so huge in direct mail and personalization in any type of marketing is extremely and highly effective, you can even do one-to-one marketing. You can take a mailing list, you can upload it into some of these digital platforms like a DSP, and you can serve ads to the individuals that are actually being marketed to. You can draw virtual boundaries around the addresses that you are mailing to and serve up ads specifically to the individuals in those households. And that helps you to bypass gatekeepers. And informed delivery is probably one of the most effective examples that I can think of an omni-channel or digital being paired with direct mail. It's one of the most incredible things that USPS ever did, right? So we get an email that appears in a mailbox coming from a trusted source from the federal government. I signed up for it. I want the email. I see this digital impression before the mail even gets into my mailbox, and there's a digital ad that I have an opportunity to click on and respond and go to the website. Not to mention the fact that you get an average of around a 65% open rate on an informed delivery ad, which is absolutely astronomical as far as an email channel is concerned, where you'd be lucky to get maybe 18% on a house list. So that right there is a great pairing of digital with direct mail. But now let's also talk a little bit more about the individuals that are going to the website maybe from digital marketing channels. Well, when they get to the website and they don't convert, what a fantastic and phenomenal opportunity for us to identify who those individuals are and then get back in front of them with a direct mail piece. So if a marketer is highly affected by cost and they want to be marketing to the right people, there is no better person to mail to than somebody that was on the website, literally raising their hand and saying, "Hi, I am here, I'm on the website, and I'm telling you that I'm interested, but I just haven't bought yet because you have to get in front of me a few more times." And I know that we've all experienced this, and direct mail retargeting is highly effective. So I suggest, from a marketing campaign perspective, start with mail, enhance with digital, and finish it off with mail. But if a marketer wants to start with digital, utilize technology out there to identify who the people on the website are, what are they looking at. Now you can send them a direct mail piece that's personalized with their name, with the item that they were actually looking at on the website, and send them a little bit better of an offer than you originally approached them with. And this happens all the time. I can see an ad for a pair of shoes, go to the website, put a few in my cart, say, "Oh my God, I have 1,000 pairs of shoes. I don't need another one." I leave. But now if I get a direct mail piece in my mailbox 48, 72 hours, maybe even a week later that says, "Hey, I'm going to give you 20% off," I say, what the heck? I come back and I buy. And that can be utilized with any different type of strategy. technology, and it's very, very effective. So direct mail retargeting is one of the best ways to be marketing to the right people. Additionally, customers, I think that it's a general statement, but with customers, people say, well, why would I want to know if my customers are coming to my website? Well, you might be selling product A to your customer, but you may not know that they're on your website and they're interested in products B, C, D, and E. But if you were leveraging some type of technology that was telling you who was going to your website and what their web activity looked like, now you have an opportunity to capture additional revenue streams from your customers who you already have a working relationship with. They trust you, and now you just squeeze additional revenue streams out of them by marketing to them about ancillary products and services that you have. So direct mail plays a very integral role in the overall marketing mix. And if we are not utilizing it to re-engage people that are being driven to our websites from email or digital, then they're leaving a lot of money on the table.
One little thing about direct mail, I completely agree. Direct mail is like an unsung part of what USPS does because of how it builds anticipation for what people see in their mailbox. I think there's an amazing opportunity there. And a lot of companies really look at it as, well, your piece of mail in a campaign goes to the USPS system, an image is taken of the front of it, and it's just like a static, black and white image, and it's just kind of blah. And for people, who are looking, maybe for to be wowed, it leaves a lot to be desired. But you don't have to do that. You can use when you put together a campaign that uses informed delivery. You can use color images. You can swap in a representative image that is not mirroring what is on the envelope or the postcard or the flat that arrives in the mailbox, but it is usually like a color image that appears better on digital than what would happen in real life. And it creates that anticipation, and it just bypasses, in some cases, part of the idea of it is to bypass the response, which is just to wait for the piece to show up, because sometimes it may not be that day. It may be the next day when it shows up. There you could just jump right to it and immediately take advantage of that offer or message as it appears. And for anybody who puts together a campaign, it's free. The Postal Service charges nothing for doing that campaign and putting it together. And when you look at the response rates you get, the response rates for most campaigns are, as you said, like incredible response rates. And if they're not, then you can look at, well, what are we doing wrong? Maybe it's the list that we're working with. Maybe it's the customers that we're sending it to. Maybe it's a problem of not having the right offer, in which case you can fix that offer and go out and reach out to these customers that you sent this out to again with a better offer, and then they can take advantage of it and bump the response rate higher.
Yeah, for me, all the communication channels are here for a reason. They are all relevant and powerful. They all have strengths and weaknesses. For every time that you tell me where direct mail is better than email, I'll give you another reason when direct mail was better. Email was better than direct mail or display or whatever. I think that the issue here is that marketeers, and has been my experience, obviously my personal experience, often lead with the channel first. So the first thing that they think, they pick a channel. I'm going to do a display, I'm going to do an email, I'm going to do a direct mail, without really thinking, thoroughly thinking about the strategy of who am I talking to, what am I going to say, and how often do I have to say what I have to say. And I think, for me, that's kind of backwards. At least my Spanish brain doesn't understand that. It's almost like putting the carriage in front of the horse. For me, first, you need to thoroughly think about who do I have to talk to, again, what am I going to say, and how often. do I have to say that? And then you will pick the right vehicle to do that. It's almost like renting a car without knowing where you're going and what type of load or content you are going to carry. And to me, that I talk to a lot of marketeers, I do seminars, and they kind of like agree with me, but then it's like one of those stretch balls that then when you just let them go, they just keep going and they keep doing that, what naturally doing, right? Picking up the channel first. So, and I can give you examples. I mean, if you are a good customer of mine, I don't have to build any branding with you because you buy from me and you listen to myself. Probably I'm going to send you an email because it's going to cost me less than the print and the mail and the postage and everything else. You are going to open it. You like me. You are going to buy from me. Now, if I need to capture your attention, like we said before, then probably I'll use the mailbox first, and then I might shift into the mail, or I might link into a display online based on that area where I send my emails, and then when you go online, you might also see something from me. So again, all of them are here, all of them are for a reason, and I think that the most important thing is to think a strategy first, and then identify which channels fit the best. And let me tell you something. And I know I work a lot with print service providers. They obsess with print because of the business, right? But don't worry, print is so powerful that it takes care of itself. If you lead with direct mail or with print, sometimes you will lose with direct mail or print. Just lead with the communication in general without favoring anything. Understand your customer and what they're trying to do, who are they trying to talk to again, and what they're trying to say. And then you will see the opportunity for mail, and that will be more powerful because it comes from the objective. It comes very strategic. So your customer, the marketer, will obviously see, yeah, it makes a lot of sense here, versus trying to sell print from a spec standpoint or a direct mail from a spec standpoint.
Yeah. I just wanted to comment one other thing, too, that, I was thinking about. The longevity of mail, also. The longevity of mail in the household and all of the scientific evidence out there that shows that high brand recall that comes with mail. When you're utilizing digital marketing, you get that one split second to get somebody's attention and convert, and then poof, it's gone. And it's never coming back. But when I get a direct mail piece and I look at it and I get the long-term memory centers in my brain activated, and I have that high brand recall from my mail, and it's something that I'm interested in, and I put it on a pile on my counter, or even if I throw it away, if I were to re-engage myself or a prospect with a digital channel and I see a digital marketing message later because of the high brand recall that I've experienced from receiving that tangible direct mail piece, it is going to stick out. And now you have a greater opportunity of getting a response to your digital marketing message because you leverage direct mail to activate those long-term memory centers in the brain. And it's sitting in my household and I can reference back to it. Let's say, for example, it's something like a home remodel and I really need to convince my husband that I want to drop 50 G's on remodeling my kitchen. That might take me 6 months to wear him down because maybe he wants to use the 50 grand to buy a new boat. I don't know. But if I keep seeing that direct mail piece on my counter, I could say, I'm going to talk to Drew about this again tonight. I really want to get this kitchen remodel, or I'm laying in bed later and, I see an ad pop up that is for that kitchen renovation company or whatever it is, and I can look over and have a conversation with him about it. But if I never get that actual impression to impinge in my mind because it was out in that digital marketing space and it was just poof gone, you're, again, really leaving a lot of return on the table there. So customers have a misconception that they're getting more bang for their buck with digital, but the truth of the matter is they're not, because it doesn't have as much of a lasting impression. And there's so much scientific evidence out there that proves that. And again, I just go back to us as being in the industry and the responsibility we have to be educating marketers on the power and efficacy of mail.
Just one point. I was talking with a couple weeks ago with this guy named Dave Baird, who is runs a stationery company called Truly Engaging. And his company started out with doing printing wedding invitations and collateral materials around weddings, save the date, that kind of thing. And his company changed paths slightly in the last couple of years by reaching out to different audiences and saying, well, what kind of materials can we create for your membership or for your customers that would be engaging for them. And what his company has found success with are materials that are magnets and stickers that are personalized for people who are members of college alumni associations and other sort of college organizations. They create these materials going out to students who have been accepted at a university. Again, very personalized, but it has meaning for them. It has meaning for them because they're joining this greater world, or in the case of an alumni of a school or university, they've already graduated, but they still have that pride. So it isn't a mass market product the way that they create these direct mail postcards with the stickers or with magnets, but it is significant enough that they have a good-sized business and a repeat business and one that they can expand.
All right, so obviously everyone knows that tracking the effectiveness of a campaign is critical, right? So what are some ways that you can track the effectiveness and prove that direct mail is working?
Well, I think that one of the greatest challenges we have with the direct mail marketing channel, and why a lot of customers pull out from the channel when the cost continues to rise, is because they have no idea how to track it. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a campaign review with one of our print providers customers or a direct customer, and I ask them, how do you track their mail? How do you track your mail? How do you track it? Not just the delivery of it, but how do you track the response of it? Oh, well, we don't. I don't really know. I mean, there are some very sophisticated marketers out there that do drill down, and they do have some very good systems and processes and procedures in place to be able to track the response rate to your direct mail marketing channel. But it's very challenging, especially when a customer is leveraging multiple channels. So it becomes very diluted. How do we know that the response rate or the conversion came from the direct mail or that Google ad or that social media channel? So there's a lot of things that we're well aware of that can be leveraged to track the response to direct mail itself. One of those is a QR code. Absolutely. We can see if there's a QR code scan. We can utilize personalized QR codes, and we can say who individually actually scanned a QR code. We can use call and text tracking numbers. So we have a specific call tracking number on a mail piece. When someone actually calls in, then we have an opportunity to say that this call actually came from the direct mail. But there's a hole there as well, because how do people respond to mail? I go to the website, so I get a direct mail piece. I don't necessarily call the number on the mail. I go to the website. If the same number there is, it's not the same number there. Now I'm losing some of that attribution with my mail. But there's a lot of ways that we can actually track a response to a direct mail piece that you can't track if an individual came from a digital marketing channel. If I click on a Google ad and I go to the website, I can see the number of clicks that came from a digital marketing campaign, but I don't know who it is. There's absolutely no technology out there that will tell you who clicked on your Google ad, unless you're leveraging some type of website tracking software that will tell you who an individual on the website is and how they got there. But above and beyond QR codes, call and text tracking numbers, there is some sophisticated technology out there where you can identify anonymous website visitors, and you can then automatically suppress it against a mail file and see how many people went to your website from your direct mail, and additionally who. And informed delivery also will give you a report that will show you who on the mailing list got the informed delivery email, opened it, and clicked on the ad. And then I think it's so important as well that we have a very close and trusting relationship with our customers so that they're willing to give us end conversion data. Okay. And I'm not just talking about how many people bought from them. I want to know, how many leads did you get into your organization when I ran this direct mail campaign? How many new leads did you get into your CRM? Are you going to give me a list of who those individuals are? And I know that all they care about is converted business, but at the end of the day, in order for me to prove the efficacy and power of mail, I need to know that new leads were driven into your organization. So give me the names and information of the people that actually responded and were placed into your CRM or picked up the phone and called. And that way we can actually show how many people are responding to direct mail. So very, very important. I think a lot of it is lost or left on the table because they're not leveraging technologies that can effectively be utilized to track the response to mail.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with all that. Direct mail from its very beginning as a mass marketing channel has had ways of tracking response. It was always something that was, and it's still done this way, always something that was done simply by measuring the response. You would mail out a direct mail campaign, and if you provided a courtesy reply envelope or a business reply envelope or a business reply card, those responses were tracked. But for small businesses, local businesses, I'm thinking like of retail, they have the same issue now as they had 20 years ago, 40 years ago, which is figuring out where do our customers come from? What is driving them to come to our dry cleaning shop or our pizza shop or our a local clothing store? And if they don't have any way of tracking that, whether it's asking people when they're checking out and buying something, hey, how did what is it that drove you here? Because years ago, there were a lot of different ways of pushing people into a retail establishment. It was, direct mail. It was space ads. It was the yellow pages. Remember them? There were and so unless you asked, people are not going to be very forthcoming. Even if they were forthcoming, there was no way for businesses to track that information except to do it manually and then maybe put it into an Excel spreadsheet and figure out what their next steps were from there. When you get into all these other different digital channels, like Morgan was talking about, you do complicate it a lot, and that's where you really have to have other people working for your company or companies that you're partnering with who know what all the channels are, know what they're doing, and knowing what is where they can attribute the responses from.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. The only thing to add, I notice for the ones that actually track performance, I noticed that some marketeers have the perception of, I track and this campaign didn't work and I didn't get the ROI. And sometimes, that doesn't work that way because one campaign might not bring the ROI because you need to give different touches, right? So sometimes it's the 7th, the 5th touch or whatever. And I've been in sales before this for many times, and I remember the time that I was going to give up on this customer, and I went one more time, and that 7th time got actually the results and the sales. So it's not just about tracking one campaign and say, I didn't get the ROI. And another thing that I noticed, a confusion among marketeers too, that say, email was better than direct mail. Oh, what? Because the direct mail was the one that drove this to a website to purchase. Yeah, but did you do direct mail before? The email was. Did you do direct? Oh, yes, I did. So maybe the direct mail was also contributing to that longer campaign. So very careful with the tracking too in that sense, because there are perceptions around, which one is a better channel and type of things, and also the return investment that they are not necessarily true.
Yeah, I just want to add something too. Yeah, and I've had so many experiences, I didn't get the ROI, it didn't work. Well, this is an opportunity here now for me to drill into this direct mail campaign. And as print providers, I can just tell you in my experience of working with hundreds of printers all over the country, I think that we can do a better job at helping our direct mail customers put together more effective and higher responding direct mail pieces. A lot of times a customer might put together some DM piece or creative and send it over to them and say, hey, I just want you to print this, and they just do it because they want to take an order and they just want to get the money in the door. And that is absolutely wrong, because some of the direct mail, is absolutely atrocious. And guess what happens? When that goes out into the mail stream and they don't get a response from it, do you think that they're going to come back and do business with you again? No. So you are essentially causing marketers that are trying mail to never leverage the direct mail marketing channel again, because we're not doing a little bit more to help them from a consultative perspective and say, hey, Mr. Customer, like, I would love the opportunity to print this direct mail piece for you, but I would really like to strategically sit down with you and see how we can improve this direct mail piece, because I care about the results and the response and the investment and the money that you are spending in the direct mail marketing channel. And I want you to get a better response. So in my professional opinion, I think that we need to go out and source a good list, or you need to provide me with a customer list, and we need to change this creative or add a QR code or this or that or the third. And we need to do everything in our power that we possibly can to ensure that the mail that is going out into the mail stream is top notch, so that they get a response, they come back, and we get those reorders. Because I can't tell you, I mean, our Who's Mailing What database, I mean, we just did a webinar like 2 months ago, mail it or fail it. And I was pulling some of these mail pieces out of our competitive intelligence database, and they were like laughable. I mean, the fact that some of these mail pieces went out in the mail stream, like, they should be arrested. I mean, it was terrible. So, we ourselves also can do a better job at educating and ensuring that these byproducts and mail and the response rates are where they should be, because we are inputting our professional and strategic opinions.
Awesome. Well, it looks like our time is up. Does anyone have any quick questions, just really fast?
Is there a generic demographic profile of the typical person who signs up for informed delivery with USPS?
So there is not a specific generic profile, but if you go on the USPS website, they do a customer census quarterly, and you can get statistical data about the age ranges and a lot of other census data about the individuals that do sign up for informed delivery.
Just to add to that, they also have available data on the business site for informed delivery, where they break down by zip code the number of people who are signed up for informed delivery within those zip codes. So you can go from zip code to regions. And it's interesting because you see that what's considered the western states have the highest number of people who are signed up for informed delivery by a couple percentage points over the central and east, and I forget what the other regions are, but it's very, very interesting looking at your zip codes, and when you know what your zip code is and the ones surrounding you to look at that.
All right. You in the green shirt, did you have a question? Okay. All right. Perfect. Oh. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate you taking time out of your morning, and thank you to the panelists.